Hi, welcome to Monterey's Cooking. I'm John Pisto, and today's special treat, you know, farmers markets have so many beautiful different varieties of produce. And mushrooms being, you know, one of my big hobbies, I thought today we'd do a mushroom soup. And what's nice about farmers market is now you're seeing new kinds of mushrooms coming in, like this one here. This is called a king oyster mushroom. This is cultivated, but I'm also seeing some wild mushrooms appearing in farmers market. Now, a wild one would be this here chanterelle. These are coming out of Big Sur area, and these are local, of course. And you know, it'd be nice to try to make a soup with a combination. These are another variety of mushrooms that you see in the market, and these are called the black chanterelle. All right, these are coming from Northern California, out of close to the Oregon border. These are another mushroom. This is another wild variety. Look how handsome this is. And this is a Cypress agaricus, and this is of the same family of the portobello that's so popular nowadays. Okay, isn't that beautiful? This is the same one, a little bit more mature. And then we have varieties of dried mushrooms that we've done over the last couple of years. And I mean, we can go on and add them all to the soup. But what I'm going to do is just add dry, fresh ones today, because I think I want to try just fresh mushrooms. So, real easy, simple one. Now, all these mushrooms have been washed well. Now, you know, some people say don't wash wild mushrooms. I say it's okay because they rain. You know, it gets rained on, and that's all right. They say you should wipe them, but it's all right. I wash them. Like I said, these have been washed already. We're going to start this with a little bit of oil. Okay, just a little bit of olive oil. And I'm going to put some butter in this later on. This is going to be a cream of mushroom soup. So, and I'm going to use all these varieties. You can use any variety you want. You want to make an interesting soup, go to your grocer and grab a handful of each. Because mushrooms have kind of a neutral taste. Some are more flavorful than others. These definitely have a taste to them. Okay, let me move these over. And let's start cutting these up. And we're going to make a chunky cream of mushroom soup. So you want to cut them in bite size. Well, what are these? These are small dice. This is the chanterelle. Also a good way to clean your refrigerator if you got a lot of mushrooms there. Just go in there and clean it out. Now this has become a very popular soup at one of my restaurants, where we're using the dried porcini, which is also known as cep or Boletus edulis. And it's nice that people are becoming much more sophisticated about wild mushrooms. Their interest is there. They want to try different mushrooms now. And I think mushroom hunting has become so popular simply because it's a beautiful way to spend a weekend with your children, with your friends. You go out in the woods, you bring a little picnic. Everyone goes out looking for mushrooms, but make sure you go out with somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't go out and just hunt for mushrooms, because there are some poison ones out there. So you should know, or have someone who knows what they're doing, because they are very, very, very poisonous. There's one in particular that every year is responsible for many deaths. But I don't want to get anybody overly cautious here, because there are very many edible ones. See, these are, boy, the smell. Boy, these have a real strong flavor. The agaricus smells very, very good. Now mushrooms have that ability to take on a flavor of some of the other things you're using, like the onion. We're going to put some nice wine in here too. Okay, see how, boy, that's a beauty, isn't it? Yep. Now I understand recently they now have the morel mushroom is being cultivated, and that's been a recent breakthrough. And if you like morel mushrooms, you know, they've become quite expensive during the season. That's a spring mushroom, and that's the one that looks like a pine cone, and it's all wrinkly, and boy, they're about $80, $90 a pound. But we understand a company in Australia now and another company in North Carolina, I believe, have figured out how to grow them. Mushrooms are very mysterious in the way they grow. They have to have the right amount of moisture, the right temperature. In the case of the morel, the right altitude, and attitude. Okay, put a little bit of red pepper. Let's put that on high. All right. Oh, and the black trumpets. Just chop them up real nice. See that? Boy, this is going to be quite a soup, I'll tell you that. Chunky cream of mushroom soup. Okay. When we come back, we're going to continue cooking our farmer's market mushroom soup. Let me tell you something about mushrooms. When you cook them, you'll notice some have a lot of water and some don't have a lot of water. These mushrooms do not have a lot of water. Look how dry they are. See that? That's good. Now, if it had a lot of water, we'd want to reduce it down so that all that liquid that it throws off, have it reabsorb inside the mushroom. Okay? So this is, see how dry that's got? Very, very nice. Now, dry sherry wine is going to give this a real nutty flavor. And some fresh thyme. You can use dried if you want. Don't put too much because this is pretty strong stuff. Boy, I put about a half a cup, huh? Yeah, or so. Now as this cooks, put a little bit of butter, and use sweet butter because we don't want to add that extra salt in there. And sweet butter has a real nice flavor to it. Boy, you could do a million things with this right now, just the way it is. Now, what I've done, because this is mushroom season here in Monterey, I've made a mushroom stock. And these are what I use with the mushrooms that are not real perfect. We clean it and I make a big stock, and we use this for many things. It's for base for soups, base for pastas, for risottos. So you can use a beef stock would be good, or a chicken stock. If you want a delicate soup, you'd use the chicken stock. If you got some old mushrooms laying around, make a stock out of that, some of the dried mushrooms, or, you know, a light beef stock too. So let's just throw a little bit of that in here. Just like that. Boy, does that. Boy, the thyme really comes through now. Okay, we want that to come up. Now you're not going to notice I'm going to be using a little bit of cream. I'm cutting back on my fats a little bit. Only because a lot of people are working out and they're on their diets, but I'm not cutting them out completely. Just a little bit. Okay, this is still on high, blasting. Okay, this is coming up. Now, here's the heavy cream. I just want to color this a little bit. Just like that. And then I got my spoon here. And we're going to make this come up to a boil. And I'm not adding any flour. Wow. That is real real mushroom soup. Let's give it a little bit more stock. Now, if I added flour to this, it'd be on the thicker side, but let's do it natural. Doesn't need that. I'll tell you what a lunch this would make. And you know what I would drink with this? A little dry sherry. It would just make this dish come to life. Okay, as soon as this comes up to a boil, this is ready to serve. You see how I've reduced this? So that's made its own little sauce, no flour. Boy, look at this. It's some kind of soup, folks. We got the stock, we got a little bit of the cream. That is a chunky, I mean real chunky mushroom soup. What did we put, 4 or 5 kinds of mushrooms in there? When we come back, we're going to do another very, very unusual dish. You know, I see in restaurants, risotto is has become real popular. They're making risotto out of everything. I mean, everything and anything. So I thought I'd go off on that a bit. And, you know, we looked around and said, let's get some real unusual combinations and let's do our own risotto. So I think we're going to do this. This is called the treviso. This is an Italian vegetable. It's grown here in Salinas Valley. It has a bitter, sweet taste to it. We have an agaricus mushroom that it's called the Cyprus agaricus that we got here. This is wild. And then I thought we'd team it up with some champagne and maybe a little bit of leek. So I'm just trying to illustrate to you that you can do risotto made with anything, okay? So let's start with some onion. Always start with the basics when you're making a risotto, which always starts off with onion and a little olive oil. I've got this pan hot already. I hope it doesn't jump all over the place on me. But you always start them off the same way. Okay, onion. And we're just going to make a small amount. Make sure when you buy the rice for the risotto, that is important, folks. You got to buy the certain kind of rice. And that's that Italian rice, arborio. And you look for it. And it'll say, a rice for risotto. Buy that. Don't use the American converted rice. It won't work. I just want that to get that hot. So, you know, make sure you use the right type of rice. Otherwise, you won't have the right consistency. Let's put a little piece of garlic in there. And let's put, just for some additional shapes, let's put a little bit of leek. Now, what you have to do, okay, here we go. What you have to do is get this going good. Make your onion opaque. And we're going to cut this in also. Get that ready to go in there. Now this ought to add color is going to be incredible. And texture, it should add a real interesting texture. Now these mushrooms are real meaty. You see how I'm cutting into these? And these guys are just, I mean, there's a lot of texture here, hard texture. Let's dice them. Wow. Nice. The other name for these mushrooms are brown staining mushroom. And you can see as I cut this, it starts staining brown on us. To giving us another sign that this is the right kind of mushroom. Okay. Put that in there. This is going to absorb all these flavors. Now, let's put a little chunk of butter. Should combine olive oil and butter if you really want some delicious flavor. And like I always say, folks, you know, I like to add the butter as a flavoring agent and not as a cooking medium. Big difference. Okay, we got chicken stock going here. Real easy. And I'm going to put, gee, look how meaty this is. Looks familiar? You know what? It is familiar. You know why? This is the same family as the portobello. Same exact family. Another show, we got one of these. I've got one that was, well, these are pretty good size. I mean, isn't that nice? We got one even bigger than this the other day, like that, and we grilled the whole thing, just like a big giant steak. Pretty impressive. And I'm sure you mushroom hunters out there would love to know where I get these. You know what? Not going to tell you. Okay, this is browning nicely. I'm going to put some pine nuts for texture. And let's put the rice in now. You know, there was a study done on risotto. To do a little, to add the liquid a little at a time, or to add it 2 times. You add a bunch once, and then you finish it off with another addition of the liquid. And I've tried them both, and I think they're both, it comes out the same. But you know, risotto is one of those fun dishes that you have company. Everybody standing around the stove, stirring the risotto, cooking, have a little glass of wine. Okay, we want this to get coated real well. And then I'm going to start adding the liquid. See how fast this goes? Add. Okay, this should take me maximum 15 to 20 minutes. And just stir it, stay right here, don't move. We're going to do the add and reduce method. And now's a good time to add the wine too. Add a good cup. Okay, this is going to take a few minutes. So add and reduce, that's the thing. Okay, this is about 15 minutes. You don't want to overcook this. Now, when you taste this, you don't want the rice to be mushy, folks. You want the rice to have a real bite to it. And you should see the starch should kind of form a little covering. You see, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me get a good shot. You see how the starch is forming a little covering? That's telling you that it's almost done. Let's add the radicchio. And look at that, isn't that pretty? Okay, now this rice is, I think, 99% done. I'm going to reduce it, and I want to just fold this radicchio, because I'll tell you what we discovered here, folks. This has a lot of sugar in it. It's become very sweet. This is going to be the little bitterness to it. You're going to have a real contrasting dish here. Okay, now the other secret to risotto is you add a little bit of cream, not a lot, just a little bit. I can turn that off. And you want this to sit, just let everything kind of come together. And if it looks a little dry, let's add a little bit more of the stock. Now I've added the cream, now we add the champagne. This is the finishing touch. Look at that. Okay? And use decent quality champagne. Don't use, you know, this is a fairly inexpensive, but you know, I drink this. This is good for mimosas. We wouldn't have it at a super dinner. Okay, now we let that reduce. We want to cook the rawness out of the champagne. And that'll take 2 seconds, folks. Okay, make sure to just give that wine just enough time to get the rawness out of it, okay? Now you notice I didn't add cheese, because you know what? These flavors here are incredible. The leek gives it an incredible flavor. You see how this is? Okay, let's wipe that up. And now I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cheese. Okay, decorate it a little bit. We give it a little cracked pepper. And we've made, this needs maybe a little bit of green. Let's put a piece of basil on it. And we've got a very, very unusual risotto. Experiment with your risottos. Try anything. Just try anything. You'd be surprised. This was a try anything risotto. This came out very nice. Hope you enjoy it.